Alright, what is good, ladies and gentlemen? It is the Master Reviewer back again with another review, and today we are doing a review for the Irresponsible Captain Tylor. That is right, this is the second anime that I am reviewing. It is the one that I most recently finished. I finished I finished it about 2 or 3 days ago, and I was debating on whether or not I should include the OVAs in the review, and ultimately I decided to include it. So I watched those, and now I finished watching those, and so now I am giving my review for it. And one more thing before we start, you might hear that the audio in this video sounds better than normally. It is because I don't have any fans on in the background to drown out the noise of the people that are usually in my house, because as of the moment, no one is in my house, so I'm able to talk at a much better volume, and I don't need to drown out any background noise. So if the audio sounds better, then that's great. Anyway, so let's just begin. I was actually debating on whether or not I should start off with the OVAs or the main series, and I decided I'll start off with the main series. So just starting off with I'm just going to give, over the course of the last few days, I was really trying to figure out how to do this, and I think from this point forward, I'm just going to give a brief synopsis of the show, speak about the characters, and then delve more deep into the plot. I think that's how I'll do it, because it is a bit hard trying to come up with a exact order to do things, and I think this order is just going to work best in my opinion. So this is about a man named Justy Ueki Tylor, who he's very irresponsible, he's very carefree, he just wants to live an easy life, and he ends up becoming captain of a destroyer in the UPSF, the United Planetary Space Force. So he ends up becoming captain, and then he runs a crew, and he's very irresponsible, and that is basically the plot of the show. There's a war going on, and the show is basically the antics that he and his crew get into, and how he gets into situations and gets out of them, even with his total irresponsibility. And yeah, so that is the synopsis of the show, basically. In terms of the characters, I had to open up the character site because I forgot to do that, but now I have it opened up. So in terms of the characters, Justy Ueki Tylor, I like him a lot. He's a great captain. He's a great protagonist. He's very irresponsible. He's never upset. He's always he's a very down to earth, but he's also a very good person at heart. So in every situation, he just does the thing that the morally, not morally right, because there are situations where he is very irresponsible. He does stuff that you definitely should not do in a position of power, but he is just such a likable character, and he has this charisma that you just love to watch in any scene. So even if he's irresponsible and stuff, it's he's still just this great character that everyone eventually grows to love and stuff. And even if they hate him at first, everyone just grows to appreciate him. So he's great. Other than that, you have his lieutenant, Makoto Yamamoto. Yamamoto, he is the lieutenant that he's very much by the books. He wants to do things the right way. He is very upset about the position that he's in, where he has to be second in command to Tylor, and he doesn't want to have to follow the orders of someone that is very irresponsible. So he, at the start, he's he tries to get Tylor out of his position of power, but then over the course of the show, he does grow to appreciate Tylor and really respect him as a person. Other than that, you have Yuriko Star, who is she is also a lieutenant, and she was the one that she initially met Captain Tylor before Tylor met any of his crew. He met her first, and she feels a responsibility because she was kind of responsible for getting him into the position of power that he ended up getting to. And so she feels she's responsible, so she has to make sure that nothing bad happens. And she's very upset at Tylor. She does not like the way he does things and how irresponsible he is, but also she grows to eventually appreciate him. Other than that, you have pretty much everyone in the show is good. There's no characters I dislike. You have Azaleen, who is the Raugon princess, who the Raugons are the opposing alien race. She is good. You have the twins, Emmy, and where is the other one? For some reason, it's just here, Emmy and Yumi. They are the twins that also they meet Tylor in the second episode. They are the granddaughters of Admiral Hanner, so they're good. You have you have Katori, who he is the one character where I think he was he's the one that you see the least of out of the entire crew, and he's in charge of navigation, but he really doesn't do anything that like really makes him stand out. Like you don't have like any scenes with him where it's like you really get to learn about his character or anything. You have Harumi, who was originally a spy for the Ragon Empire, and then she becomes then she grows to like care for Tylor and stuff and the crew, so she ends up joining them. You have the Doctor, who is he's always drunk and stuff. He is great. He's like kind of wise. He has a lot of good moments. You have all the veterans. They're good. They're very like gun-ho, and it's nice to watch them with their whatever it is that they're doing at any time. You have Lieutenant Kim, and she's also good. You have also her moments are good. Again, pretty much everyone is good. You have Dome, who's the second in command to Azaleen. Yeah, so all the characters. You also have the admirals Mifune and Fuji, who are like trying to get Tylor out of the position he's in. They're constantly trying to sabotage him, and they fail to do so because of Tylor's just incredible luck. If you've seen One Piece, Buggy from One Piece, or like King from One Punch Man, just they have like incredible. You could call it like luck, or you can call it anti-luck, whatever you want to say, because like they get to these positions of power, but they don't mean to do it, and they're like very afraid of the fact that they got in those positions. So Captain Tylor, like he's not even trying, he just happens to get extremely lucky in every situation he's in, and he's like never worried. So yeah, so anyone else? No, that is pretty much all it for the characters. So in terms of characters, I would say I would give them 8 out of 10. I would say I think they're all great. They work very well. Part of the charm of the show is just watching all the characters together. They all are part of the crew of the ship, the destroyer Soyo Kaze. So pretty much the entire show, like they're on this one ship, and so it's a good. I'll actually get into that with the settings, but like to see all the characters together, they bond pretty well, and they grow to care for each other, and they're all great. All the antagonists also, they're fun to see, and yeah. Moving on to the plot, I think the plot is I would give the plot a 7.5. The plot it's very good. It's basically just there's a war going on between basically humans and the Raugons, and so you have Tylor. He gets into this position of power as a captain of a ship, and then he just so happens to get extremely lucky in all the situations he's in, and he ends up even meeting the princess of the Raugons, and so he just is so the plot is just that he ends up in all these situations, and he just gets really lucky, even though he's very irresponsible. He does, in every situation that he ends up getting into, he does pretty much some of the worst stuff that a person should do in a time of war. Like he tells his crew when they start fighting in the third episode, I think it was, he just says like, oh, you have a dispute, keep fighting, fight it out, it's fine. Like he never does anything that a responsible leader would do. And yeah, the plot is just basically him getting into situations and stuff. So the plot, I will say, it is very good. It's fun to watch the situations he's in, and there are a lot of moments where you think like, okay, how is he going to get out of this situation? Like he's extremely screwed, but like he still ends up somehow coming out on top in the end. So yeah, the plot I would give a 7.5. The setting I will give I'll also give a 7.5. I think the settings were very good. It mostly takes place on the destroyer Soyo Kaze, which is the ship of the crew. Yeah, so it's a good ship. It's nice to see. You got the space settings and stuff. Most of this does take place in space. It's like they do mention in the OVAs like Pearl Harbor. So this did at one point this world, there was an Earth on it and stuff. So I'm assuming this is like humans from the much distant future. So yeah, so it takes place in space. You got a nice cyberpunk feel to like the world at the very start of the show, and like also towards the end. So the city of it is cool. The space areas are cool. Azaleen's ship, also the Raugon fleet, is very cool and stuff. The comedy aspects, I will give the comedy, and I would say also a 7.5. It is very good. There were a lot of good moments, a lot of scenes where there's good jokes that they make, a lot of good physical humor, a lot of situations that you get a lot of comedic material out of, which it worked well. The adventure aspect I will give, I'd say probably the adventure aspect was probably like a 7 out of 10. It was pretty good. it's mostly just like traveling through space. It's not like they end up going to different planets or anything. It all pretty much just takes place in space. But it is a nice adventure of like when Tylor ends up, he does like not infiltrate, like he just accidentally happens to find himself in like the Raugon, the Melva, which is the main ship of the Raugon Empire. So he does like kind of explore the area, and he does end up meeting Princess Hazeline, and then they end up like bonding and stuff. So there is like, in terms of the adventure aspect, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. In terms of the sci-fi aspect, I will give it probably a 7.5 out of 10, I would say. I think it is very good. I liked all the ships and stuff. I liked the world of it. I think that all of the sci-fi elements of it were good. I thought the Raugons were a pretty good like race as a opposition to the humans, whereas like they're also not clear. They're like not evil, but they are they're pretty much the same as humans. They're just like they have like paler skin and slightly different ears. So I thought that all the sci-fi elements, they were very good, I would say. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be a bit harsh with this. I'm just going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'm going to say it was just pretty good. I'm not going to go as far as to say it was very good. In terms of the worst part, I will say probably the only part that I didn't really like was towards the end, in the last like 3 episodes, where they're no longer, pretty much when Admiral Hanner dies. I don't really like, I felt like they didn't really know what to do with the ending, because they had like Tylor, I felt like they didn't know what his character would do for the ending, because like they have him like retire, but then in the last episode, it's like a month goes by, and then the crew gets all back together, and then Tylor like takes up his role again as captain. So it really feels like it wasn't like a clear-cut ending. It's like they didn't know what to do for the ending, it felt like, so they just ended up having the crew like come back together, and which I thought was good as an ending, where it's like all the crew comes back together, which was nice. But it felt like you just had like this in between that. It's like you just have in between when the crew coming back together and Tylor being he ends up not, I don't actually remember exactly what it was, but it's like he and Dome, they end up like crossing ships together, and they don't shoot each other, which I guess was like some sort of he gets an award for that, because he like, I don't know, didn't start a war or something. So in between that, like immediately after that, where they throw a party for him for like his accomplishments and stuff, Admiral Hanner dies, and then so because he was his friend, he's like very sad and stuff, and so he ends up retiring because of that. And like it felt like, I don't know, that whole like arc towards the end, it felt like not the most like well thought out kind of. So just because of that, I'm gonna give it like a 5 out of 10. It was like, I'm not gonna call it not good, but it was not good, but it also like was not bad. So I'm just gonna give it a 5 out of 10. In terms of the best thing, I will say probably just Tylor's character. Just, he's a great protagonist. Love to watch him. He's very charismatic. All the scenes he's in, it's just very fun to watch him as a character. So Tylor as a character, I'm going to give I will say an 8. I'm thinking between an 8 to an 8.5, I would say. And I am going to be generous and give it an 8.5. I think that he is an amazing character. He is a very good captain, and he was just great to watch. I am editing this in post because I forgot to mention it in the review, but I just wanted to mention the music, absolute bangers. There's a lot of great tracks in this anime. The Destroyer Soyokaze, Galaxy Burning, I recommend whoever's watching this, just go to YouTube, search up those ones. I think there's like a few versions, but do the A version. I think it's like there's certain versions of it, like A, B, C, D. Do like the Destroyer Soyokaze A and Galaxy Burning A, bangers. Love them a lot. I also wanted to mention the art style. I forgot to do this for when I did my review for Unlimited Fafnir. I forgot to add it into the review, and I want to have this in this review because I forgot to mention it. I would give the art style probably a 7 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good. I will say that the OVAs, they technically came out after the original series aired in I think the original series aired in 1993. I'm pretty sure the OVAs came out in 1994, but the OVAs look much worse. And I think it's because OVA is original video animation, which from that, I kind of assume it means okay, this is what it was originally supposed to look like, and they made a version to pitch to a meeting or something to get the show greenlit. So this is how it originally looked. So like, I get why it's gonna look worse in the OVAs, but I'm still just, the original series looks better than the OVAs. Yeah, so back to the main review. Now that was all the scores. So I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. So it ends up coming out to about a 7.25, which I'll round it up to give it a 7.5. So that would be very good. And I would probably give it, I would give it higher. I would say an 8 out of 10. I think it was a great show. I liked it a lot. The reason I'm kind of more hesitant, especially with a lot of these scores, is now what I'm going to talk about the OVAs. I watched the OVAs immediately after, and they're not as good as the main show. For one, they're really long. They're like, the first one is like the first OVA and the second OVA combined into one, so it's basically like a movie. So the whole thing's an hour and a half, and then every one after is like 30 minutes minimum. So, well, with the credits and stuff, it's like actually more like 26, 27 minutes, but it's still, it's really long. So it's pretty much like the entire OVAs. It's only 10 OVAs in total, but it ends up totaling almost, I'm not going to say the length of the original show, which was like 26 episodes, which was 20 minutes each, something like that. So it's not that long, but it is like, I would say about 2/3 to 3/4 of the length of the actual show itself. So it's really long. The first one is actually really good. I liked it a lot. I thought the first one was, like it was a nice continuation of the main story, and it did have like this nice twist where it's like, the entire show, you have Tylor, who the crew, like they think he's irresponsible, but they pretty much never think like he's doing it maliciously. They think he's just really incompetent and stupid. But then in the OVA, in the first and second one, you have this Tylor, he ends up getting a mission where it's like, okay, you need to purposefully get captured by the Ragon Empire. He gets this from Admiral Mifune. He says, you have to purposefully get captured by the Ragon Empire, and you need to meet with Princess Azaleen to like discuss peace negotiations. So I thought that it worked. I thought it was like good because you have like the crew and they think like, oh, he's a traitor. He's selling out for, he's like, not selling out, but like, he's clearly giving up. We got captured. He's giving the Raugons information. So he's a traitor. So it was very, very good to see the crew like have like this different perspective of him as like someone who's like genuinely malicious, where up to this point they just saw him as just not like an irresponsible person. I don't know if you heard, there was some noise coming from the other room, so I had to close the door. Anyway, so yeah, there was so it was the first and second OVA were good. I liked it a lot. But then after that, you get like the third one, which was just a side story with Princess Azaleen that doesn't end up going there anywhere. Then in the fourth one, you have one with Kojiro, who I don't know if I mentioned him actually with the characters, but he's like this. He was a pilot that was aboard the Soyokaze. He was part of the crew. So you have stuff like that where it's just these solo side stories, which they're fine, I guess. And if you really like the characters and stuff and you want to see like more of these individual characters and you want to watch like 30 minutes worth of it, I guess it's fine. But like maybe if they cut it down, I was thinking like OVAs in general, I'm not really a fan of per se. Like there's none that really come to mind where I think like, wow, that was a really good one. There is like a few that come to mind, but overall it's like I'm not really that interested in OVAs, and most of it is just side stories. So if you are going to have an OVA, like it should not be longer than a main episode of the actual show. So it's like the fact that they're 30 minutes, it's just too long. It was like just, I got very bored at times. The rest of the OVAs, like a lot of them are just side stories. Like you also have one with the veterans and stuff. You have a Christmas one, which was fine, I guess, but even then it was like, it should not have been 30 minutes long. It's like they should have absolutely cut this stuff down. You have one where Yuriko, she gets like kidnapped and then Yamamoto has to save her and stuff. And all of it kind of seems like it's separate and stuff, like just these side stories. Like where I thought it was going, the one with Kojiro, like they started speaking about him like he is a veteran. So it did seem like a lot of time had passed. So I thought like, okay, maybe they're going to show like in the rest of the OVAs, like we're going to see like maybe where the crew is like years later and stuff, which I thought, okay, that would be actually kind of cool. But they don't end up doing that. And then towards the end, you just have all the crew, they're back together, which is good. That's like where I'm speaking now about like the last two OVAs. You have all the crew where they're back together, which was good. Because that's really like where the show shines, when it's like you have all the crew together, you have the charisma between them and stuff. And the first like 8 episodes here, the first 2 had that, the last 2 had that, all of the in between did not have that. You just had to be focused on like 1 or 2 specific characters, and then it didn't work for me. And then towards the end, you do have like kind of a thing here, since the plot of the main show was like the Raugon war against the UPSF, and that never ended up concluding in the original. They kind of used the OVAs to continue that plot. The issue is, in the last episode, they don't end up concluding it. In fact, it's really bad how it ends, because you have like, it concludes with basically, they establish this, this third faction where, with this like, electromagnetic force that has, a red glow to it, and they use it to end up, like attacking both the Raugon Empire and the UPSF, and it's revealed that it's Wang doing it, who's I didn't mention him. He's like the prime minister of the Raugons. He's like the true villain of the show, basically. So it's like, okay, you have him. He's like he's working with someone. It's not him doing it specifically, but so you have this like faction. This is clearly how they're going to wrap up the plot. You're going to have the Raugons and UPSF. They're going to team up and they're going to defeat this third faction, and then it just ends. And there was no continuation. It's just, you finish the final OVA, it's over. There's nothing more than that. There was a, so I looked up after, I checked like, okay, is there a manga that continues this? This is all based on a light novel, but I don't think I'm going to read it, because if it does have the continuation, then I don't really want to read it in light novel forms. I don't really like light novels that much, because it's usually just a lot of reading, which I'm fine with reading, but I like pictures. I don't want to say I'm a visual person, because, I don't know, my mom says that and I get upset at her when she says that kind of stuff, but I'm a person that likes to see pictures when it's part of a story, usually. And if it's a light novel, it's fine if it's a short story, but if it's 8 volumes worth of like text, then I don't want to have to read it all. I want to like see pictures and stuff to it. So anyway, I'm rambling now. Anyway, so there's no ending, so it just leaves off there. There is a sequel series which came out in like I don't remember when, like 2010s at some point, which is, I think that's going to probably be the next anime that I watch and review, which is the Irresponsible Galaxy Tylor. So maybe, I really doubt it, but maybe they like establish like what happened afterwards, like with that whole third faction stuff and like the conclusion of the war, maybe. So maybe that happens, but even so, that just means that the OVA just is left off like on a very unsatisfying ending. So in terms of, anyway, this is going to be the longest video that I've released up to this point. So in terms of the OVAs, I'm going to say the first 1/2 kind of, they were good. I like them. I would say like worth watching. Okay. Everything after that, I really wouldn't recommend. Like, if you want to, just, I guess, watch it if you like really want to see more of the character. Like, if you have time to kill, maybe don't binge it. Definitely don't binge it like I did. If you have like some time to kill, if you want, you can watch here the Kojiro one. It wasn't that bad. And none of them are really bad per se, but it's like it's really long. It should not have been that long. If you want to do OVAs, like 20 minutes maximum. And yeah, it has an unsatisfying ending if you're planning to watch them, at least in my opinion. So yeah, that is yeah. So this was a pretty long video. Yeah, this is already at like 22 minutes, I see. So yeah, so that was basically. So yeah, so in conclusion, the main show itself, The Irresponsible Captain Tylor, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I would say it was great. It's a very good show. I thought it was very good. However, the OVAs, I would say like watch like the first and the second one, which is like they're together. So if you want to watch it, watch that. I would not recommend watching the rest. So yeah, that was my thoughts on the OVAs and the show. I think probably the next I think maybe the next video I'll do a tier list of the characters if I can find one, and if I can't, then I will end up doing a tier list that I make using a different website for the characters. And then in the future, I'm going to probably review the sequel series. So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. So if you have any recommendations, any movies, shows, anime, video game stories, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe check it out. But with that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.